Hi, I'm Ricardo Pujol, sound engineer and composer. And this is the story of our little friend that fell asleep, whose cloak fell off the bed and broke. Now he can't wake up and is having terrible nightmares where teddy bears want to give him too many hugs for his taste. With this concept in mind and looking for more space for audio creativity, I modified the Unity game project survival shooter, adding new game objects and behaviors. Designed the sound effects, composed the music, and implemented all sound in the game. For the music, I used concepts like clock mechanisms, bells, creepy sounds with vibrato, and some synthesis to give it a spooky feel. I've added a nice and punchy electronic drum playing to help keep the player's attention on the game. Depending on players' health and amount of enemies killed, I blended together 3 different layers in the music to create an adaptive music score. I created sound effects using a combination of my own recordings, digital processing, my voice, and synthesis. For example, this is how I made the lightsaber turn on sound using noise and electric sparks. For the lightsaber boost, I decided to use real-time synthesis. I created a patch in Pure Data that uses subtractive synthesis to emulate the sound as it moves. I integrated it into Unity using Fabric Audio with the Heavy compiler to convert the patch into a DSP plugin that Unity can send and receive data from. The patch contains 2 parameters which values are changed via script depending on the player's mouse movement. This way, the hum of the lightsaber changes dynamically in response to when it is swung around and helps make things sound more realistic than using sampled sounds. I created a difficulty curve, so the more enemies the player kills, the more frequently they appear, which makes the game feels like it progresses. This new difficulty parameter could be used to change values in other audio functions to make the audio more intense as the difficulty increases, for example, adding layers to the music. I've also added more Teddy spawn points, so the enemies can surround the player more easily. I wrote 2 scripts that manage the instantiation of random item in the map. The items are freely available 3D assets I found online, with some customization that I made myself. The items include power-up items, a moon and a star that can make you bigger and more powerful, or smaller and slower, a cake and a pizza, because nothing is better than some junk food to recover health at 3 AM. A shotgun to blast your nightmares away. A lightsaber that can be found after you have reached a score superior to 600. I used a system of scriptable audio objects originally posted by Christopher Chamick in asoundeffect.com, but with serious customization and adaptations to the game. This system allows to enhance the possibilities of playing multiple sounds in playlist or random mode, set attenuation curves, and other behaviors related to the game, for example this one, that I will explain in a moment. I wrote some lines of code that allow the player to be in 3 different sizes, small, normal and big. When the player grows bigger or smaller, the camera gets farther or closer, to make the player feel even bigger or smaller. In case that the player grew, the enemies would run away from him. If the player size was reduced, he would move slower. Some new sounds are triggered during each state for when the player shoots his gun, and their level is automated and blended with the original gunshot sound using mixer snapshots. A routine that changes pitch on certain sounds over time starts, and it ends when the player size is normal again. When the player is big, his voice will also sound with an echo effect. This effect is also automated using snapshots. I've added colliders to trigger sounds when enemies enter two players' threat zones. These are 3 threat zones, each one with a different radius and with different audio behaviors associated. Zone 1. The smaller collider will trigger a sound of the teddy beginning his attack to the player. If the player reacts fast and run, he shouldn't be damaged but still hear the sound. Zone 2. This collider triggers a scream sound coming out from the player. There are some conditions to trigger the sound though. No teddies should have entered to this zone in the past few seconds, so the player is surprised and scared when one enters because he didn't expect that. Zone 3. This collider triggers a threatening sound when the big, fast, dangerous teddies get into this zone. I put the audio listener on a new game object that shares the player's position, but is not child of it, so it doesn't rotate, keeping the left and the right side fixed. When all sounds were implemented in the game, I took time to properly mix them using compression, sidechain compression, EQ and other classic audio tools. To get a much clearer mix, I compressed the music using the signal coming out from sound effects bus as sidechain. I've also used ducking compression between other tracks. Thank you for watching my Unity audio demo reel.